Hello and welcome back for game number 4. My name is Pastry Time and I'm very upset that I've been benched for our following exhibition match. But thankfully, there's an incredible best of 5 still going on right now.
Are you actually upset?
Yes!
Really? Okay. I was like, I don't want to play against them, so I'm all right with it.
You have to remember, expectation incredibly low for me. I can basically, even if I get smashed, is that really a loss for me?
I'm
Not
pretty
really.
sure they were just scared of you, Pastry.
That's what I thought.
Silver 2 Yasuo mechanics, known worldwide. Here in this game, though, we have a little bit better of players. Bjergsen and Ryu on your screen. These two mid laners going back and forth. The analyst has said they wanted to see Bjergsen with some more autonomy. Bjergsen with some assassins, some champions to try and create plays for himself. Maybe TSM will go that direction. Now facing match point versus 100 Thieves. They cannot afford to lose another game.
And we're seeing the GP still be what goes up on the ban list here for TSM. And final ban, the Olaf. So Braum still up is kind of the one that sticks out. I wonder what they'll jump at here, because the Kai'Sa has also been something that TSM has been loving.
Kai'Sa's still up, Tristana's still up, the Alistar we've seen over and over from 100 Thieves. All these combinations still very much available, and we will not divert from what we've seen just quite yet. Once again, the Braum picked up here. Unbreakable is very good for pushing in. On turrets, you can protect minion waves, you can protect your AD carry. TSM did look very good in their game that they won. Braum protecting Vel'Koz's long-range damage, and Bjergsen on that champion that can really contribute to creating plays and contribute to winning the team fights.
And 100 Thieves, Anda's just cycling through all the champions that he's basically ever played. We'll see. Most likely they go with the Tristana here, but it would be blind pick, and they're actually just going to go right for the jungler instead.
Interesting. So kind of steal that away from Greg. Kind of wonder if this is just a move to take, you know what? He's in a tight spot. He kind of had a rough game. He loves Sejuani. It's one of his most played champions. So maybe just taking it away is more of a mental thing here.
Trundle is available for TSM, and a very good matchup still, even after the nerfs, into Sejuani. So maybe they kind of wanted Greg to be on Trundle, but I think that he would feel very comfortable with that pick, and it would work well for the team.
All right.
Not going to do it early, though.
Insta-lock Camille. So that's presumably either for Greg or perhaps Haunter. There is some flexibility there for TSM, but they will stick with Kai'Sa and Braum.
Bjergsen, mid lane, Camille, eh?
He's played it before, not on stage, I don't think, but I think Tristana makes sense here for 100 Thieves. No need to show anything more to TSM. You already know this lane has success. It's the exact same matchup you just played, so keep it consistent here for Cody.
Yeah, I like the desyncing here of the roles by TSM. Picking the Camille, I assume they'll ban out some of the counters and give Haunter a favorable matchup up top, but it kind of forced 100 Thieves' hand to pick the Tristana here or risk having that banned.
Yeah, or swapping it into the jungle role. There is always that threat here from TSM of the role swap. Again, though, I completely agree that 100 Thieves would want to stick with what is working here. The Tristana Alistar, consistent lane pressure, earning them tower damage in the early game, dragon control in the early game, and scales well into the crit build with the extra range.
Yeah, so I expect TSM to potentially ban Malzahar or even go for banning out one of the counters to the Camille in the top lane, but you'd have to go for like a tank or something, like a Cho'Gath or Scion, but we'll see.
LeBlanc, though, the first one. Galio also banned by 100 Thieves, which pairs very well with the Camille, so I kind of like that situation there for them.
Yeah, it's a good ban for sure, because the Galio Camille, the Thunderdome composition, just be able to lock down the Tristana, and that's kind of the thing that they might be looking for here is if they think the Tristana was going to come out, she's been very annoying to get on. Cody Sun's been able to leap away, just have the Hextech ultimatum, lock him down, keep him inside of that ultimate, and make sure he can't just get out of these fights easily.
Buster shot can be rough though, so you have to play very well around that. But I agree, I think TSM know that we maybe just need a bit more engaged, because if we can kill the key carries on 100 Thieves, team fights are a much easier affair. Gragas, though, is the next ban for 100 Thieves, and 10 seconds now for TSM's last pick.
And Gragas does kind of fill in both roles as well. Double ban here basically for themselves to take out some extra tankiness, because TSM already are showing a decent amount of threat, and they would want to have a more solid front line. If you're thinking more towards the later game team fights. Aurelia is going to be off the table as well, though, banning it away from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, that's the thing that stands out to me is maybe they're thinking if you pick an Aurelia here and you flex it, it could go to someday an Aurelia-Camille matchup.
That is true. Plus, it also works so well with Sejuani, stacking up her stun super quickly, allowing a solo laner to have a lot more presence with that type of jungle.
Well, there is the Cho'Gath once again for Someday, so 100 Thieves playing things very straightforward here. Ryu has a ton of different champions to pick from here. I mean, we've already talked about Ryze and Malzahar. They are both available, and Bjergsen has to make a blind pick here. We asked TSM to give him more agency. Zilean is not that.
Yeah, I would assume like a Syndra, but the Zilean looks like it's going to be locked in here, and another one for Bjergsen.
I would say one thing at least, though, is that with Camille, with your Hextech Ultimatum, you can make it easier to hit those double bombs and allow you to control that stun a little bit better. That being said, though, Bjergsen has already been very, very clean with his double bomb stuns, so we'll have to see if they finish it out here with a frontliner.
And it makes a lot of sense, to be completely honest, because the Zilean would work against the Syndra and it would work against the Malzahar, which are both up right now and what you would expect to be picked here by Ryu. So it is a good champion into both of those. Granted, is it a good champion for TSM? It's great for Bjergsen, but him as a point of power has been how they have surged. We saw 10-2 with Assassins or Aurelia for Bjergsen, and then not on Assassins. It's been a much different story.
And this is TSM picking the Camille, a feast or famine jungler for Grig, putting a lot of faith in their youngest player, their guy who's a rookie to this stage of this size on finals weekend, and putting some extra power in his hands, especially for the early game where 100 Thieves have been the kings.
Well, last pick is Malzahar, so Ryu will take the counter matchup on, I guess, badly on his side, but happy to play into Bjergsen again. Malzahar is pretty self-sufficient in most situations, so isn't too worried that Bjergsen's able to get maybe a few more CS here and there.
Yeah, bad matchup on his side, but it's only because Malzahar is so strong that having a matchup that's bad is like, okay, at least we kind of trade ultimates here, and then you're good to go. So if you can trade ulti and force Bjergsen's ultimate, it's more for him to be reactionary, and you may not force as many QXSs with this composition, but it's still something that Ryu has looked so good on. And also, this Sejuani Malzahar, I love ganking Malzahar lanes as Sejuani, and it may force cleanse here from Bjergsen.
This game is 100 Thieves back to their classic style. Cody's son is going to be the damage source. Protect Cody's son and try to win those late game team fights.
3 front lines, 2 carries. That's been 100 Thieves formula for all year long. TSM, it is interesting to see them give power back to Grig. They're kind of doubling down on what they did last game. They took the aggressive jungler in Grave and said, you know what, that didn't work too great. Let's play an even more aggressive jungler, which is very bold.
Camille can really, really have a big influence on all of these lane matchups so early on. Your hook shot gaining a lot of distance towards champions. You can gank out of the fog of war. Pretty much any lane. All of these ones do have setup, so we'll see if there's anything tricky in the opening from TSM. Maybe he goes just red buff into an early ganking route, try and control those scuttles.
Well, it's a must-win game for TSM. In fact, the next 2 will be, if they want to claim 3rd here in Oakland for 100 Thieves, it is just 1 more to situate themselves as best they can moving into the future.
And TSM, you want to keep proving that, you could have maybe taken down Cloud9, you could have maybe been in the finals, you could have had that surge to make it all the way once again. But right here, if they win this, and they win the next 2, they skip clutch in the gauntlet, they're just preparing for that right now and having that momentum, whereas 100 Thieves, they want to say, hey, it was just a fluke, maybe they should have been in the finals themselves.
And 100 Thieves want to win this game to instill in fans some more faith in this team. If Team Liquid do win tomorrow, then it would be 100 Thieves representing us at North America, and they want the fans to be enthusiastic and at their backs.
Well, given how Ryu Someday are playing, and even Cody stepping back into the team after being absent for their semifinals loss, have to think that 100 Thieves are certainly looking in much better form, which they will need to keep up to take down TSM in one of these next 2 games.
And 100 Thieves, the composition that they've drafted, Ryu with the Predator here to move around and get those ultimates off. But Anda on the Sejuani, this lane combination is very scary to go against. It's just suppression into Sejuani combo. Bjergsen has no cleanse. Sven has TP this game and no heal as well for the
That's
lane.
what I was looking for. A lot of options here with the Camille. You can go super aggressive, red buff early, level 2 route down to the bottom lane. He does not show early. He can slip into that brush. If they allow them to move up,
And there's Afro gonna get tagged. Grig immediately over, but what a flash from Afro move.
and that is going to allow Grig to immediately go up to the Scuttle Crab that just spawned. He didn't waste too much time. They just get the flash out of Afromu, and that takes a lot out of this aggressive bottom lane.
Yeah.
We're talking so much all series long about the Kai'Sa and Braum scale super well, but the early game, Tristana and Alistar have been pushing over and over, playing aggressively, getting advantages. Now without the flash, they're going to have to think twice about doing that.
Yeah, and the Camille, it's going to put her all over the map in terms of route, though, where you get the Scuttle Crab, you may have to go for the second one here, and then it puts you on the opposite side of your Krugs. You don't get to cycle them, so it becomes this kind of awkward route for her.
Yeah, Camille really does love to control the Scuttle Crabs, though, likes to spend her time in the river. She doesn't do that well, power clearing or getting all those pesky Krugs. So, Grig, I think if you take this pick, you have to go for this style. And now he's back out on the moves. Unfortunately for him in TSM, he's over a ward, though, and Anda can move right around it.
And there's no Krugs to take either. He's looking to invade Anda, who he should know is level 3, but he's just assuming that the Sejuani may be low.
Yeah, would have to be blind here. Doesn't even see any of the...
He just walks into the brush, actually gets a stun. Grig gonna try and make it happen. He gets the big raptor, he dings over to 3. Not a bad invade there from Grig.
Yeah, and he takes a bunch of Anda's health with him on the way out.
Yeah, fantastic by him, actually, because he's going to hit level 3. He's going to actually put Anda behind again and now kind of augment his route. And he has 5 camps to take on his side. All he got was Scuttles, his red, and that's it to get him to level 3 after going across the map. So he has a lot of time to spend in his jungle here.
And look what his one gank did to the bottom lane. 25 CS here on the Kai'Sa. Definitely good for Sven in the early stages. Meanwhile, all the previous games, Cody Stone and Afromu have been pretty much perma-pushing up to the turret.
Yeah, very good wave clear on the Tristana early. And Mithy is going to try to catch the wave. Afromu will try to headbutt him away, so he can't.
Does move a couple of them into the turret, but now Mithy actually gonna get the damage down onto Afro. Instead, Mithy just hangs around, gonna pull the wave back around and just ensure that Sven gets as much CS as he can. As he didn't use teleport, Sven will be happy to have those pulled away to him.
Yeah, and the fact that he has the teleport here makes it so that his fighting capabilities is a little bit lower. But I like this from Anda being able to strike back and get a camp on the opposite side. Clears the whole thing, though.
Kind of had to steal something, you feel like, but
Yeah.
That's a pretty good camp for himself as Grig was busy full clearing the rest of his left-hand side, which was untouched earlier, but does have the blue buff. Now Ryu in mid lane, meanwhile, is going to teleport in. Bjergsen, though, is held onto his, so probably take a recall in relatively short order. Maybe refill that potion. It is amazing to me, though, how much the texture of bot lane has changed. Just from that one bit of pressure. I mean, Cody is rocket jumping away. Haven't seen that much in the 2v2.
Oh, Hanser's actually in a very risky spot here.
Good juke there, though. Wants back into Someday to avoid the rupture. Knows that that's the only way he's going down. This is pre-6, and he's going to be able to get his teleport off. So as long as you don't die in that all-in, doesn't really matter how close it was.
Yeah. And you got to watch for that Infernal Drake, though. Getting that TP means that TSM won't have Hanser with that teleport for the Infernal that's already up right now, and you want to be able to play to that side of the map.
I think to me that means it's Grig's job to keep up the pressure in this game. He will get yet another scuttle here, moving ever closer towards 6. It's a pretty big race between him and Anda.
And the Dragon is so much about your bottom lane control. If you don't have bottom lane control, there's no way they're going to go for it. Grig here is, once again, looking for a fight with Anda. Is going to see him on this ward. Anda's going to know that there can only be one person who placed that ward.
Yeah. But I like how Anna's also gone for the red smite here. Typically, Sejuani's go blue smite, but the red smite is against aggressive junglers that are trying to invade you, so you at least have a way to duel them and not die right off the bat in the early parts before you've purchased any HP.
Could be a tricky spot here, though. Grig is stuck around to try and evade these Raptors, but both mid laners are sick. Grig is going to get the stun, but there's the suppression by Ryu. Grig now going to have to run out of there. Bjergsen is ready with the ulti, but doesn't want to burn it if he doesn't have to.
Woo. Did win the smite fight, but Anda walks away with more health and now has the experience lead, if ever so slight.
We saw this a lot in game 2 and a little bit in game 1 where the junglers are invading each other. Mid laners have to be there, team has to be there. Things get pretty dirty pretty quickly.
I would say though, Ryu using the ultimate on Malzahar in a large amount of mana as well does impact the mid lane. So we'll see if Bjergsen can punish this, push in on the Zillion, deny some more minions.
And they might deny the blue buff here, seeing that he's very low mana, he can't shove the wave quickly, and that Ando was pretty low. That's going to be the blue buff being taken away here by TSM on 100 Thieves.
Yeah, plus we have continued to have Sven and Mithy pushing on the bottom lane off of that first gank. 64 CS to 51 now for the TSM duo.
Yeah, and using that teleport to get himself the pickaxe, have an item advantage, and keep pressuring during that point. Don't allow Cody-san to back and even up the items here as he's waiting for BF Sword Gold. He needs about 200 more.
Teleport definitely is critical, and TSM being able to get that one back at 3 teleports once again. Going to be beneficial not only for his lane phase, but later on as well.
Yeah, didn't quite cancel that recall back, but it doesn't matter too much. Ryu's going to head back with his lost chapter. Bjergsen just going to take a recall here. Pretty straightforward stuff as Greg, despite applying relatively light pressure, has done a much better job this game. He's kind of playing around the points of the map that are pushing where he can have friends. I think you run into the trap a lot playing aggressive junglers of thinking you can win in every situation, or unfortunately, especially in high-level play, that is not how it works at all.
Yeah, you invade and then you get collapsed on by the enemy first, but Bjergsen's been providing pressure.
Teammates.
Yeah, exactly. Hauntzer's been able to TP back and then have pressure himself, and so he's been playing that top quadrant, and then they were able to rotate towards the bottom side, which, because that first gank, made it, like you guys have been saying, much more of a pressure point for TSM this game than before.
TSM so far leads in all lanes as far as CS goes. No turret or kills have gone down, and Anda now has made it to level 6 on the Sejuani. So maybe 100 Thieves look to turn it around now that they have some more crowd control at their disposal to turn this around. Because TSM right now, kind of winning on all fronts.
Yeah, and you're looking for a potential combination of him and Ryu, or like you said, there's gank assistance pretty much across the board where even Aphromu can make a play. But Grig, he's going to go for the Infernal here solo, has the Tiamat, has the ward to set it up, and then you can see Bjergsen is playing up, and also, same with the bottom lane who's been winning.
It makes it so much easier as jungle with those pushing lanes. Bjergsen, Sven, Mithy all come over to help out with this Drake, and TSM will be able to claim it.
And this is where I expected kind of the first big point of action to be, but instead TSM has have enough control to take it away for themselves. So far so good. TSM playing it slow, but playing it very well.
Yeah, when you're playing for the late game and you aren't getting advantages, you're just like, let's weather the storm, let's at least make it there, and then our team composition will come online. If you're able to get early advantages that you shouldn't because you're supposed to wait to scale, then you're off to a great start. It accelerates the composition, and TSM may be looking at getting to about 20 minutes and having a big power point there. But it is, of course, just a single Infernal Drake, and it's a small gold lead now, but it's something that they can work off of because they've been working off of with Anda so far.
Yep.
Or Greg, sorry.
Wants to take in the Express back to top lane. This burns the ulti. Wants to save that teleport, which he doesn't have. Back up in 90 seconds as Bjergsen also got his blue donated over to him. Looks like he's trying to find Someday, who is recalling, but Monster not going to find him. Instead, just pulls the wave and going to try and keep that in a decent spot for himself, as he only damages those front 2 melee creeps. So big kind of freeze being set up here by Haunter. And in the meantime, taking away his camps. Despite the pressure, it doesn't really feel like he's had too much trouble. It is, again, both teams just playing well, given the map situation.
And they're pretty much playing on the back foot now as 100 Thieves in their lanes. Anda's going to be the person who has to decide what lane he's going to, where is he throwing his Sejuani ultimate, because that's going to be the difference maker here. Same with Ryu's ultimate, which is back up now, and he has the flash to potentially make a play on top of it.
Yeah, bottom lane probably would be a good target. They'd have a lot of explosive setup there for the Sejuani to try and make that happen. Right now, they've completed Storm Razor on Cody-san, whereas Ben on the Kaisa is sitting on just pieces. You know, Rage Blade's pretty difficult to complete, so there's an advantage there for 100 Thieves. Even though they are overall down in gold, probably the area they want to focus on, considering Bjergsen, Zillion, got a self-revive, Haunter as well, very tanky.
Yeah, but 100 Thieves, they may have to start forcing something, because TSM are fine with just scaling with the Infernal, with the Kaisa that's been doing work for them in the later parts of the game. But it's just controlling Anda is kind of the name of the game here for TSM. Greg has been doing a good job of it, But this bottom lane is so hard to gank, not just because Sven and Mythi have been doing a good job of pushing up, but when you push up, you just get all these wards all around the bottom lane to protect yourself. The pressure turns in division, which keeps you even safer. And we can see there that they've been able to spot that Anda's kind of hanging around here.
Greg actually does seek him now for good as Afro walked in to try and get something started, but Greg in a tactical sweep, not going to find Anda this time, but he goes past the ward, so Greg once again will move forward to check. Ryu potentially the one to make the difference here. I think this duel for 100 Thieves is really going to have to do so much of the work here in the early game.
And again, I think 100 Thieves want to play off the bottom side of the map. You can see that's why Anda is invading on this side, trying to use the power of this Stormrazor defeated by Cody-san and the advantage that they have. The problem is, if Bjergsen rotates down, Zilean really enables the Camille. Having the confidence with the revive as well as the stun from your AoE bombs is huge if those two can work together.
Yeah, and right now on the bottom side of the map, you talked about with the Stormrazor being completed, the Rage Blade is something that needs to come through. Sven doesn't have his teleport up just yet, so he stays another wave, and he may just back by the Rage Blade and then TP back to lane here right on time for the TP, because Cody-san and Aframu, normally you just want to keep them inside of the lane. He's not even going to TP back. He does have the TP in 5 seconds here, so it's just slightly desynced, but he just wanted the completion as soon as possible.
Gonna walk back and just make sure Mythi can pull out the wave. So again, TSM not in a rush here. Gold lead's not too bad, up about 800 gold so far. Anda sneaking into the bot side here. Might try something as the wave pushes forward. We can see that Grig is not in the area, but Anda maybe doesn't know that, instead perhaps just covering. Sven does return to the lane. Mythi gonna face check, but Zedwani always still there. Afro again gonna try and find the play, but Anda, he missed that ultimate. There's Mythi gonna lock up Afro under the turret for quite a while, as Bjergsen also has come back down. First blood still on the table, but the silence is on to Mythi. Ult there from Bjergsen to keep him alive, but he needs to die. He does manage to go down, will be resurrected, and 100 Thieves can't get back in.
Oh, so close right there. 100 Thieves barely misstepping, and in the end, the collapse does come through. Teleports from both mid laners join the bottom lane, and nobody goes down.
Yeah, that was Anda just misplacing the ultimate. He threw it where Sven used to be just a half second ago, and it just barely misses out on getting a stun chain started.
Good instinct there from Bjergsen. There's a controller in that brush, but does find both Anda and Ryu. And now Sven with some free time here on the turret. Important to maybe try and open up the map with Infernal Drake back up in a minute, but 100 Thieves back down the bot side. Gonna try and make it happen. Kind of tough with no ultis on either your jungler or support, as we'll watch this one again.
Yep, face checks it, and then Sven throws it just a little bit too far to the right.
Yeah, Aframu flash WQ'd for that too, to try and set it up and hold it in place, but because of that, they don't get the kill on Sven. Bjergsen arrives with the teleport. He can revive Mythi, so no kill goes through.
That also looked like Anda got the stun onto Mythi, but didn't break it for the percent HP damage because he was in retreat at that point. So just barely missing out there, but that ultimate in a few seconds here for Anda. It'll probably be up, same with Bjergsen, as we approach the Infernal Drake here, which you know both teams want.
Yeah, TSM would love to take a second, but 100 Thieves inversely want to stop that at all costs. They do own the speed shrine, but TSM will not be able to start this with no vision.
Yeah, but watch where Hanser is. Hanser's already roamed down from the top side, wouldn't have to use TP. Instead, he'd get that running start in.
Teleport's coming in. It looks like they want to flank here.
There goes Hanser.
Once they're now going to run in, but Sven and Mythi already been caught up. Someday,
We
try and lock him down. Their option not going to hit, but Aframu in the front forward is going to get knocked up by the silence and taken out, and the rest of TSM will collapse on Anda and Someday. Sven dancing around the Cho'Gath. There's the Hextech ultimatum. Burn in onto Anda. A double kill for the silence. Sven, he lives through Someday's feast, and TSM get 3 clean kills.
Sven gets his revenge for last game in TSM. 3 kills for nothing. Infernal Drake number 2. They want to push it to a game 5 already.
A very clean fight there from TSM. Hanser with the roam down already. Someday starts his TP, but that ultimate from Hanser hit perfectly. It's not Scion Speedway, but he's making it so that he can get 2 people out of the fight. They catch Afro, and then he chunks Cody-san so heavily that he's forced to get out of the fight here. The vision coverage that they had with the control ward even tried to headbutt him away. Afro knew that he had to kind of sacrifice himself for his AD.
Yeah, Cody-san also flashing there, but the damage was done. Someday teleporting in thought that they were the ones collapsing on Sven and they were going to get the pick, but ends up moved there by Hanser. They pulled off the back of the train and they're able to take him down.
And that's first turret as well, going over to Hanser. This guy on the Scion last game had 100% KP for like almost all the game there. Had the early kills. Here, 2-0-0 again on the Scion. 30 CS up against Someday, who is the all-pro top laner. Right now, Hanser on this Scion has just been getting the better of the fights and starting them off.
And this lead is very healthy for TSM, up 4,000 gold, plus the 2 Infernal Drakes that are not reflected in that gold score. Hanser continuing to push down here in the bot lane. And we kind of noted that Ryu and Anda were the people we were looking to be effective here in the fight. Well, Bjergsen, he did a really good job, in my opinion, of just containing Ryu, keeping him in the mid lane so Predator Malzahar couldn't ult your carries. I know he's got a QSS, and I think as TSM get more gold, you can insulate so much better against a champion like Malzahar.
Yeah, you absolutely need a QSS against the Sejuani and Malzahar.
All right, next thing to look for here is TSM pushing the tempo. They've got 1 turret down, rotated up Sven Mithy to the top side here. It's been answered by Cody-san though, so they're looking to move in with Grig. I mean, if you have the Zillion behind you, again, Camille gains so much power because you have the confidence of the revive. You can just go in, use your Hextech ultimatum, make that pick, lock them in place for Sven to follow up.
Yeah, the thing that they have to worry about though is just that fog of war that could have Ryu in it. So Bjergsen keeps shoving the mid wave and making sure that Ryu gets pulled over to it to CS, where he'll show that he's still there and not in the fog. They were trying to kind of make a pick happen earlier.
TSM continuing to apply pressure though. They've moved Sven and Mithy to the top lane, but nice ward does spot 100 Thieves moving up. Was swept out. Another Rift Out being started by TSM despite the fact that they know 100 Thieves are there.
Yeah, look at all this fog of war. Who's there? Is there a Sejuani ultimate coming? Nope. Looks like they might just go towards the mid lane.
Hanser does have TP, Someday does not, so I think that's helping the equation here, but TSM will pull the Rift Child too far out. She will leash back into the pit. TSM maybe we're coaxing 100 Thieves in for a fight, and they'll maybe do it again.
Yeah, but Someday has no teleport. He's pulled to the bottom side by Hanser's split push, so this most likely will go over just due to pressure, and Hanser can show up with his ultimate or with his teleport.
Yep, TSM going to be able to secure this one. There is a ward on it, so 100 Thieves know, but there's nothing they can do about it. Desync teleports means they are outnumbered, and TSM will have the next step in the game plan ready. Rift Herald can take down the secondary turret. They can push this game forward.
Can take mid as well, very low after the pressure that Bjergsen has applied up healthily in CS. Zillion working out, I think, quite a bit better in this particular 1v1. If for nothing else, that Ryu, I've only seen him ult once, and that's the most integral part to Malzahar's early game. Hanser also chugging through these waves, finally able to keep Someday down a little bit longer.
He's doing a great job on this Scion. His engages, plus the fact that he's getting so much CS. The CS on Scion means a lot because it translates into HP, and you just have to get 1 or 2 HP items and maybe a Warmogs on top of that to get yourself to about a 5,000 HP threshold, because right now I believe he's already crested 3K. Yeah, he's above 3K, he's about 3.4. So yeah, very, very tanky Scion here. Don't know if he'll actually go for a Frozen Heart this game, but it would be later on in the build too.
Well, Somebody's doing what he can, but these two Titans just punching each other in the face. Sven and Mithy though, still looking to push things up. They take down the ward. Aphromoo is lying in wait on top of a control ward, but TSM aren't checking recklessly. They just push the wave, they'll leave, and again, just using waves to make sure they get that vision, and now transferring down to mid lane where Grig has summoned Shelly, and that will take down the mid outer turret.
All right, here we go. Charge number 1 going to get off. They should be able to finish it, but do they want to push for more? It doesn't look like it, as the rest of TSM moving up through the red buff jungle.
Might be able to catch a few here, and an Aphromoo moving through that jungle, but TSM again playing this very patiently, having to move back and make sure Sven can get that farm and maybe pressure the top outer turret as well.
Yeah, but Someday having no teleport has really put a damper on what 100 Thieves can do across the map because that last play.
This game has been such a different story, but here we go. 100 Thieves going in.
Yeah, looks like they got TP back up. It's Ryu. He may have found a way into the backline. Sven, he's got no QSS. He's going to get the press. A double pulverizer. Sven somehow flushed out of the way, and now Hanser going to charge back in and turn it all around. Sven still fighting here because he taps Afro, and there's Bjergsen going to take down Ryu. Afro soon to fall as well. TSM counter-attack so effectively. They'll take down Andra and make it 3.
And this game has been all TSM. 6-0, double Infernals, and Baron now being started up. Sunday does have teleport on Shogat though, so 100 Thieves could make a desperate play to have him flash in and feast.
This has so far been a perfect game from TSM. No depth, no turrets going over, no objectives. And here, that bottom lane, this is where Someday may get something back, but the cost is that Baron, he didn't have TP still. They went for the desperate play. Ryu goes for the flank. They don't get Sven because Mithy covers him here with an ultimate and gets the interrupt down. Let's see that right here.
TSM are ready with both of their teleports. Bjergsen and Hanser both going in. Mithy with a huge interrupt to get Sven out of there. Then they immediately turn once their teleports arrive. They have the confidence of the Zillion ult. He lands the bomb, and they finish off all the keys kills on 100 Thieves, taking over the rest of this game.
And right there, it was right where Someday got his TP back. That's a play where it's maybe we should have waited a few more seconds, and Someday could have been a part of it.
Did get the turret, so the perfect game is unfortunately off the table for TSM, but they can still make it look really good if they push it towards game number 5 here in the Oracle Arena. Grig is just having a field day on this Camille. Gonna take down TSM's 3rd straight dragon.
TSM, another best of 5. They're looking to push the distance. They have gotten so much mileage out of these playoffs, trying to play the maximum number of games to prepare for this gauntlet that they want to get a better spot in so they can get to Worlds. They built this team with eyes on Worlds, and the entire goal is to try and represent North America and do well there.
Have never missed one in the history of TSM. They have been in every single one. I believe they're the only organization that has been in every single Worlds. And they don't want that to die this split.
And let's talk about that for a second, because TSM, it's been a whole year of bursts, and not good ones. They've never missed the finals until now. They have never played in a gauntlet until now. They have never missed Worlds until maybe now. There are so many things that have gone wrong for TSM, whose legacy has been built on winning. But this win here, potentially in this series, is the start of TSM fans finally being rallied back around the squad.
Yeah, this game is going all kinds of right for TSM. Baron buff gonna get another couple of turrets here. They are just cleaning these things off the map, and that might have been the death blow here for 100 Thieves. They still have another game to push it to, and another game to regroup though.
Yeah, but still, Bjergsen on the Zillion is shown CS advantage, has himself an advantage in levels and in pressure, and Ryu on the Malzahar, which we thought would be a key pick for him here, has just been shut down by just the proficiency that Zillion and Bjergsen has had on this champion.
We'll make it 6 turrets now as TSM looking to threaten these inhibitors finally. Baron buff still remaining for 45 seconds, so they've got maybe a wave and a half to get things done. But don't worry, if this doesn't work out yet, they can still take their time and fall back to Infernal number 3.
Yeah, they have Hanser in the mid lane now too, who's got his Warmogs completed. He can take a decent amount of damage and be fine, and no worse for wear. And they're just keeping this minion protected. They get some chip damage down and one more wave of minions in.
They've got a lot of money to spend, so no reason to rush it, but those Baron-empowered cannon minions are doing a lot of work on the turret themselves. They get a huge, almost all of it actually, in this single push. 8 seconds left, so the Baron's about to time out. Just needs one more hit though, and Bjerg, okay, just needs 2. I lied to you, sorry Bjerg.
No, it's fine. You calculate it with backdoor bonus off. But Bjergsen just did the same, because tried to walk up, maybe had his ult to protect himself. But TSM will just leave it now with the Baron falling off.
Oh, they are on a ward. Maybe Aaron and Godison can get some.
Ryu. All right, now Bjergsen's like, I think I know. Oh, someone's out. Managed to escort Mithy, I believe, out to safety now. He'll just take the blast plant over back to safety.
It would have to be disastrous on the catch there to actually swing this game back in 100 Thieves' favor, because it's 3 dragons, 2 of them are Infernal. You already have that top turret almost completely gone, and they've just been doing so much. 60-0 on kills. It's a 10,000 gold lead. It's going to be worth more because of the Infernal Drakes, too.
And the star on TSM, Bjergsen, can feel the confidence moving in. He just picked up a Magi's with 7 stacks. Not even the full 10 on the Darksteel done. He's like, this game's over. Give me the Magi's. Get on my back.
They've got QSSs on Bjergsen and on Briggs, so that the Zillion can get out of a Malzahar ult to ultimate Sven in case he needs it. Sven's just building full damage so he can take down the front line. And TSM, with this huge gold lead and dragons for later, are perfectly geared to finish out this game.
All right, well, the pushes will start out now. Drake still not spawning for a number of minutes, so not really on the table at this particular moment. Wonder who will go down to that bot lane as well. Does need to kind of get shoved back over. But again, TSM have so many obvious points of pressure. It actually will be Grig to start this off, but doesn't really need to do much other than push a single wave.
Yeah.
Now Spenamithia down to collect it.
A Camille becomes very rewarding in the later parts of the game, can even be a second split pusher. Not a lot of the times in professional play. In solo queue it transitions there. Otherwise, it's more of a pick champion here for him. So, sad life, you don't get the minion wave as a jungler.
I mean, he's got a 3-level lead over Anda. It's a definitely good carry game for him. Sterik's gauge is completed. He has the safety of his own QSS. Maybe he can get some kills for himself on champions instead. Although he doesn't get the minions.
Yeah, you would hope. Still doing quite well in the CS department. But we'll see what he ends up doing here, because closing the game out, I feel like they want to go to that top lane and get that turret that they already got very low.
Sven is just peppering Someday as well. I think TSM, despite the top turret being very attractive, they're leaving Haunter there. They're pressuring the part that gives them the most value, given where the game is up, because pushing down bot opens up Drake, opens up Baron. TSM are just trying to kind of attack the point that is worth the most right now.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to go towards those areas as well. And Someday, he's actually a full item behind on Haunter right now, who has the completed Warmogs. So the damage that you do to Someday is going to stick, and it looks like he's not even going for a Warmogs here. So that big frustrating part of the Cho'Gath where he's really big and beefy, and you get him low, but he survives and then just heals back up, isn't going to be online for a long time.
Yeah, it looks like he's going for the stone plate, trying to use that for some more survivability and maybe a bigger feast to look for some way back into the game. If you surprise them, get them, kill them quicker than Zillion can land the ultimate. Other than that, though, TSM is trying to play it by the books. They took all the turrets outside of the base so early in the game that they are stalling it out to set up for Baron here. And it's about to arrive on the map. So here we go. Teleport actually
That's Sven,
going to
I think.
the other side of the map. Yeah, Sven is going to solo the Infernal Drake first. They don't want to let any resources go over to 100 Thieves. And my goodness, 3 Infernal Drakes with this lead is absolutely insane.
Especially on a champion like Kai'Sa, as Sven is going to take that down. Not quite 16 just yet, but only a creep away. And TSM just full control around the Baron. They're just sitting people in 100 Thieves jungle and daring them to face check.
Yep, they have that lack of vision here. There's only a few more wards. Haunter goes in.
Oh no, the side speedway mechanics doesn't quite dip around the side of the corner, but Grig might just go all in for this one. Bjergsen there, ready with the ulti. There's Haunter, gets the press, and actually Grig, excuse me, for the ult will save for Sven. Goes to the backline, forced to flash out of there, but it's already a kill onto Ryu. Are they gonna get locked up as well? That'll be TSM Baron as Grig grabs the double. That might be the game. Someday dead, base is open.
That is going to do it. TSM now can push on bottom side and force us to a game 5.
Haunter TP'd from mid lane to bot lane just to make sure they had a few precious seconds left. But it is 2 left now, the duo lane. Zach and Cody must defend from TSM.
It's a pretty unsweet life here for them because they have to try and find a way to kill this minion wave, and then there's one that's coming after. I don't know if they'll be able to do it. That turret is melting.
Yep, Haunter ulti zones them out. Cody-san can barely do anything but hit the tank in the front line. Nexus turret is dead. The second will fall, and TSM with the exposed Nexus will once again push it all the way to game number 5.
A very clean game there from TSM. And this means that they will be playing 15 games in the 3 rounds of playoffs that they have played.
They took control with the earlier game-oriented jungler, Camille for Grig versus the Sejuani for Anda. The bottom lane, completely different story this time around, with Sven and Mithy having control. And at no stage was 100 Thieves able to mount an advantage for themselves.
And it's incredible to watch here because TSM, one of the big things that was kind of plaguing them was Bjergsen not on Assassins and Grig playing the tanks all the time. was able to play the Graves for the first time this split, the Camille for the first time this split, and have great showings on both of those champions. And then Bjergsen, he's able to play a supportive role here because Sven is stepping up with the Kai'Sa that they're getting early on, and Hauntzer is actually doing a beastly job in the top lane up against Someday, who is the all-pro laner in top.
Guess we have Cloud9 to thank for making Zilean one of North America's premier mid-lane champion.
The old Danish Jillian just never goes away. Well, TSM have dug deep, and they found their way to yet another Game 5. So let's send it to the analysts to get their thoughts on that equalizer.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. If we have Cloud9 to thank for the Zillion, we also have Cloud9 to thank for a 5-game series here. Azael's back on the desk to break down the 4th game and preview the 5th game.
Blame Cloud9 for the Zillion. I want Assassins.
I know we all want to see Assassins, and that's what we were calling for to some degree. At least playmakers, picks with agency for Bjergsen going into that 4th game. They elect to keep him on that Zillion, and they do find success with it.
Yeah, and I think the tweaks they made, while small, were subtle and effective. It's not so much that Camille is a champion, it's the fact that he was so proactive ganking. The level 2 gank bottom lane that got Aphromu's flash completely changed this game, because in games 2 and 3, when we had this exact same bottom lane matchup, it was Cody Sun and Aphromu getting a CS lead, getting the first turret, going top lane, getting another turret, going mid lane, getting another turret, but they never got lane pressure after that level 2 gank.
Yeah, and I think also there was an audible groan in the audience when we had the Zillion locked in, and I was a little disappointed with that because they especially paired it with the Sion again. I thought they were going to do some tricky stuff with the Camille flex to potentially counterpick the Cho'Gath in the top side or something, but they agreed to do tanks again, and that's where I started to get worried, because we saw numerous times Hauntzer was pushed in, almost dying, but it felt like he had a better grip on the matchup this time around. He did get forced low a couple of times, but he actually had a CS lead, so it resulted in TSM winning all 3 lanes, with their jungler doing a lot of work in the early game.
I was going to say, that's somewhere that we do need to make sure we're extending some credit to the young jungler in Grig. Again, when we're looking at this series, you know, you're looking at Bjergsen, you're looking at Hauntzer, you're looking at Sven Skaren, and Grig in this moment, in this game 4 with their backs against the wall, was able to step up and propel his team to a game 5.
Yeah, I mean, he really was. You know, not only did he have the early pressure, he was fairly effective in team fights, and I've got to give a lot of credit to Sven and how well he uses ultimate in all of these fights. He really is incredible in these kind of micro situations.
I think that's a big part of this game, because so many of these were 100 Thieves forcing the play. Right here, it was starting with that. It exposed their backside, and Hauntzer did a good job punishing Cody, and then Sven kited out. And then once again, it's going to be TSM pushing up here, and 100 Thieves decide, we want to try and stop this, so we're going to TP the ward behind the lane. Unfortunately, Someday cannot follow up on this. Sven's going to live with almost no HP, and once again, TSM are going to punish because they're playing from ahead already.
Yeah, and Mithy played that pretty well. Ryu has a tough choice coming in. Do I ult the Kai'Sa or the Braum, who's going to be able to interrupt my ultimate? He goes for the Kai'Sa, Braum interrupts.
One thing here I was kind of disappointed in, Cody Sun was sitting on Buster Shot in this entire engagement and never actually used the ultimate to disengage and try to peel for his team. Maybe he could have just ulted Sion out before he gets the right glory slow on the rest of the team, it looked like there, and maybe could have saved him.
Yeah, and I think this was a bit of a quintessential TSM win when you have the 3 winning lanes. I mean, everyone looks better with 3 winning lanes, but TSM in particular are completely different when they're able to play from ahead, because they didn't, like we said, we didn't force a lot of those plays. They were just able to react because they had tempo advantage.
Exactly. This play is something that they more forced, but that was after a 12,000 gold lead. TSM was proactive to a point where they could be reactive and get away with it, because since they had the pushing lanes, as Mark said, it pushed 100 Thieves into making plays, and then TSM dominated them so much in the execution that we had this outcome. 30 minutes, not actually the fastest game in the series.
Yeah.
That was game 2.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the
TSM
fastest,
win.
but they definitely have picked up following that game 1 that was around 40 minutes. As was mentioned, of course, doesn't hurt that they picked up 3 Infernal Drakes along the way, but having that control from earlier in the game is what allowed them to do that, if only securing their victory even more. And so we find ourselves in a situation, TSM as well finds themselves in a familiar situation, where they're going to game 5. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions that we are looking for answers to here in this 5th game. First and foremost, will TSM come out with a different result than they had against C9, this time being the victors? And then from the 100 Thieves camp, is it time to consider another substitution? You have to recognize that Ricard's got one of the wins, Cody's got one of the wins, 2 losses. At what point do you make that decision to pop the other guy back on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly reasonable to think about it, especially if Ricard has been sitting backstage talking with the coaches. If there's something that Prawley has identified, perhaps that he could do a little bit differently, an adjustment that they could make, to help kind of fix up some of the issues they've had in these losses, then I think it's certainly reasonable. It also comes down to how confident is he feeling going into a Game 5 as a really young player.
I think the series was really weird because there was so many small adaptations that were made. Once the Ryze was out of the top lane, it's basically been tank versus tank, Zilean versus Malzahar or something. You haven't seen either team make huge adjustments. This time it was just the Camille for the Graves and banning the Olaf to get rid of some of 100 Thieves' early advantage was all it took.
100 Thieves back to blue side, no substitutions. Jat, what are your thoughts?
That's expected. I think you do keep Cody Sun because Game 5s often go very long into the late game, and you do want the AD carry with more experience in that situation. And blue side has won every single game this series. We haven't seen teams make good use of counter picks at all. I mean, that game we saw Malzahar into Zilean when Zilean is actually the Malzahar counter pick, and I think that's just by far 100 Thieves' better side.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as we've seen, the blue side teams are winning, and you pointed out, no good use of counter picks. TSM have Bjergsen. He's your best player. You're on red side. If there was ever a time to utilize those counter picks to bring out one of those really aggressive tempo-based picks that he could go for, I think it is on the red side. It is in Game 5. Yeah. Would be very disappointed if they are going to bring him back on a Zilean or a Galio or anything that is more supportive on the red side.
And I actually wouldn't be surprised if he plays it again.
Yeah,
neither would I, but I still think it's not the right choice.
For sure. And I think 100 Thieves needs to make the decision here of, do they think that they can win the same way they won in Game 3? And that just means preventing Grig from getting lane priority bottom. Because if they can opt in or opt out of any of these situations. Blue side generally has more flexibility in the ban phase. They can stop Bjergsen from playing Zilean. They can opt into Tristana once again. And I really want to see what Prawley does. I think he should stand pat and go with what they did in Game 3.
Yeah, Mark, it's peculiar because in that last pick ban phase, we saw TSM themselves banning out things like the LeBlanc and the Aurelia and then picking up that Zilean. So it does seem to suggest that they are on, in a sense, a one-track mind where they definitely want Bjergsen on this type of champion and nothing else. But to Azael's point, on red side, what's the decision you're making as a coach? Are you making the decision to put your star player in the counter pick position or to go with where you have found the 2 victories so far in the series?
I think that's what's going to end up happening. Like, as much as I personally prefer, like, Azael to see all these other champions that Bjergsen can play, they've probably found a ton of success with Zilean in scrims because after it failed the first time, they stuck with it and have kept using it nonstop. And so I don't see them wanting to finally change that in Game 5 after picking up a win with it. I think they want to change as many variables around the Zilean tank frontline for a Kai'Sa. That seems like that's the comp we're running, and we'll tweak small variables within it.
It is interesting, though, because, one of their wins was with the Vel'Koz. They're 1-2, I believe, with the Zilean in this series. So, it certainly hasn't been that successful for them.
All right. Plenty of questions still to be answered, but we are going to Game 5. Find out who takes the series on the other half of this commercial break.
Sven dancing around the Cho'Gath. There's the Hextech ultimatum. Burn in onto Anda. A double kill for the Scion. Sven, he lives through Sunday's feast.
You good, Jesper? Yep. Go. W him now. Nice. Let's go Baron. Okay, so flash. I'm on Cho. I have no ult, Jesper. I got mouse. Play solo Cho. He's slowed. Going on tanks. Start up. Get Baron.
And TSM with the exposed Nexus will once again push it all the way to game number 5.